Let's get started again. I got my coffee, and so I'm ready for round two. I'm ready for these next. Have Aaron, who is coach.
And I it's best to like
So just excited to introduce Aaron. He's got really good insights about AI. He's business coach, business leader, has lots of good experience, information to share with us regarding prompts, how to start a lot of along the lines of what Michelle was saying, like now your prompts. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I heard that your previous speakers said prompt engineering was going to be a really important part of everything you do. So hopefully what I'll share today will help you get there. So
Oh, Aaron, you've muted yourself. Sorry. You're on mute.
how about now? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. Sometimes we hit that button and it doesn't work properly, I guess. So prompt engineering. The more you would put into AI, the more you're going to get out of AI. They call it IPO. It's input. It's the prompt. It's the product, and then it's the output. So today we're going to cover prompt engineering. We're going to cover some of the top tools that you can use once you learn these engineerings, and then how to chain some of these tasks together. It's one thing to be really good at prompt engineering, but it's another thing to be able to chain prompts together and get the output that you're looking to get. That's where it'll become really valuable to you. So that's the game plan, the roadmap, if you will. And if you get bored, just hold on. Usually the Q&A will get a little bit fun. Why AI, and then after we do about why AI, we're going to jump in right into prompts. So I'm one of those guys that if you guys have questions during this, feel free to interrupt me. I'm ready to go, and let's do it. So many of us use AI tools daily. Raise your hands out there if you guys are using AI tools already. I'm sure everybody is, right? Like voice assistants on your iPhone or simple searches, and I'm going to assume that you guys have mastered those. So there's a big gap between the simple stuff that we're using and real proficiency. So the common challenges that we usually run into in writing prompts is that we don't have the time, we're using the AI and we're being really, really short, right? So in order for us to get the output that we want to receive and really deliver useful results, we have to effectively write great prompts. So I'm going to tackle that a little bit and then we'll go from there. And let's start with this. This is Google's acronym and they call it TCRE. I call it tinfoil caps required. Everyone's invited. That's my little acronym that I had put for it. And this is how Google teaches you to write prompts. Obviously, Google is one of the top AIs in the world. So what they're really looking for us is what is our task in the prompt, and maybe the task is a draft email. So I'm going to tell the AI, whatever AI we're using, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT or Grok or whatever we're using. This is what I want to do. I want to create an email, and then I'm going to say the context, and the context could be my tone. Right? It could be my audience. It could be the constraints. I want you to keep it under 200 words. Then I'm going to give it a reference, and that means I'm going to give it an example that I give to the AI. Like I would like you to reference this, 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 and this, or I would like you to focus on this. And the reference can be any of it can be data. I can drop a data table into it. It can be a PDF that I can reference and say, please look at this PDF and extrapolate the top 3 most important things on this for this email. And then evaluate means, don't trust it blindly. So check the logic, check the facts, check the grammar. I don't know if anybody in the room has produced any images with AI yet. AI is doing amazing work with images, but for some reason the AI does not do a great job with words on the images. So if you're creating images for decks and for these types of things, and you tell it to write something like what you see on this slide, it is never going to get it right. And if you're not checking, then you're just going to, have to live with a little bit of embarrassment, right? And then iterate, right? It's the polite way of saying, don't just whine about what it gave you. Let's fix that prompt and do it again. So it's task, context, reference, evaluate, iterate, and then you're ready to go. And for me, when I first started doing this, it felt long. It felt like, do I really need to do this? But what I learned early on in AI and in my studies in AI is that as I did this more and more, it actually shortened the amount of time that I was working in my AI. It was shortened the amount of time to do what I wanted to do. Because if you don't do this, you're going to give it a very blanket statement and it's going to not give you what you want. And then you're going to go back and forth with it over and over and over again, and historically take twice as much time. So back to how are you going to remember this? Like I said, for me, I put a little acronym, tinfoil caps required, everyone involved, right? Or everyone's invited. So that's what we do. This slide kind of gives you guys an example of this. It shows how adding specificity and a persona flips the AI from generic to maybe a little bit more expert. So if I tell the AI, tell me something interesting, it will flail around telling me something interesting. Even if I said, tell me something interesting about Idaho, it's still going to really flail around. But if I tell the AI, you're a historian, give me 3 bullet points on Idaho's hidden history, right? And then maybe even give me some crisp, relevant facts. And then it's going to be super detailed and give me, in almost all cases, on the first try, what I'm looking for, right? I'm going to mention this a bunch of times over the next 25 minutes because the details matter. And you got to give, your AI a job description. This is what I teach. I coach. I have about 70 clients. I do about 60 calls a week with all of my clients. And basically what I tell them is that the AI is your intern and you're the boss. And if you don't give the intern good directions, if you don't train the intern properly, you're not going to be happy with the intern. So persona-based prompting, we're going to start here. So this is kind of highlighting how we can assign a persona to the AI. So I can say, hey, AI, you are a social media influencer. Write me a caption promoting a new coffee shop here in Boise or wherever you're at. And you'll get kind of a trendy, engaging language that's suited for Instagram, right? I can take it a step further and say, you are a social media influencer. You are an expert on SEO, especially when it comes to SEO for coffee shops in Idaho, for here. And I can keep giving it more details, and then I'm going to get a much better feedback. So I could say something like, you're a serious film critic, review this movie. And what's going to happen is it's going to give me a pretty thoughtful analysis instead of a catchy hashtag. If I ask it, what do you think of this movie? It's going to be super short and super deep, super swift. But if I say you're a serious film critic, now it's going to give me a bunch more. It's going to take that role of a persona. So think of personas as giving your AI, exactly what you want it to wear. Basically, you're just saying, I want you to do this, 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 and this. And it's influencing its voice. It's influencing its style, and it's even influencing its attitude. You guys will get this from me by the end. I tend to be a little bit snarky. I tend to want to have a little bit of fun. So my AI has been trained to talk like me and always be snarky. So I'm always going to want to have a little fun at the expense of my clients, or have a little fun at the expense of my wife. But it's because that's just who I am. If you teach the AI properly, it will craft anything for you, from captivating posts to professional emails, even practicing realistic conversations and interviews. For those of you that are using ChatGPT, raise your hand if you're a paid ChatGPT user in the room here. Anybody paying the $20? Just so you know, on the app on your phone, and there's some voice recognition on the computers these days, but on the app, you can hit the little voice button and you can have a conversation with ChatGPT. Historically, what I will do is I have created a custom GPT for me that's, custom for coaching or custom for role playing, for script practice for some of the people that I'm training sales in. And I will do full role plays with my GPT while I'm driving my car. And my wife just laughs at me. So constraints and tone shifts. Constraints are really important. And here's why. If you don't give it any type of constraints, it's going to give you probably a lot more than what you want. So if you don't want a 3-page essay, especially if we're going to teach you a little bit about deep research here in a minute, especially if you're using deep research. If you click the button deep research on any of the AIs, and they all have it now, you're historically going to get 4 or 5 pages of content, and then maybe a little synopsis. So you want to give it some constraints, like limit it to 150 words. If you need a formal email, you're going to want to use a polite academic tone, or whatever it is you're looking to do. You have to give it the tone and the constraint in order to get the feedback that you want. Like I said, if you're me, you might say, make it snarky, but keep it professional, right? And, try not to insult the person I'm sending this email to. And sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't. And this is why we have to constantly take a look at it and redo it. But I may say to the AI, rewrite this last prompt in a friendlier style with 3 bullet points. And then the AI is going to change that tone, and it's going to add those bullet points, and it's going to do exactly what I'm asking it to do for the most part. We all know it's not perfect. We all know that AI is still growing. So basically, if you give it something super, super small, like explain AI, it's going to give you something that's very, linear, very just like this, and this. This is what it's been taught, or what's in the books, or what it's read, and that's all you're going to get. But if you give it something a little bit more, like in 5 sentences for a 10-year-old, using a librarian analogy, the output is going to be more visual. It's going to be more like a librarian, who finds books super fast, and they're going to give you way, way more details on your prompt. So think about this as you're writing prompts. But here's one of the best things, and I don't have this in this deck, but I'll give it to you guys now. It's very normal for me to be writing a fairly detailed prompt. And when I'm done with the prompt, I don't like the output I'm getting. And I'll take that prompt and I'll put it in again, and I'll say, do me a favor and analyze this prompt and give me suggestions to make the prompt better. And that's when things really get interesting. So then AI is going to rewrite my prompt for me based on what it thinks I'm looking for. And then the new prompt's going to work much better almost every single time, especially if you're doing, content creation, like images or videos or things along those lines, things for social media or for emails. So the more I do, the more I give it, the more I ask it, the better it does. It's pretty normal for me to tell my AI to, if I'm writing an email to my wife and she's unhappy with me for some reason, I may say, talk like Simon Sinek, and really appeal to her. Be really, really nice. Now, the problem with that is my wife will respond right away and say, you had AI write this, because you're never this eloquent with me. Let's talk a little bit about what's in the toolbox. So for me, these are the AIs that I use on a regular basis. I use quite a few others, and I'll kind of give you those as we go along. This is what I would say is the top of the ladder today for what I do. Now, you may go into one of these AIs like Grok, or you may go into one of these other AIs like Gemini and have a better output, because every AI has been programmed a little bit differently. Every large language model has different constraints and has different, handcuffs that have been put on it. But for text and writing, I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, I use Bard, and I'll use, for deep research, I use Gemini quite a bit. When I'm doing any type of coding, I use the GitHub Copilot, or I use AWS Code Whisperer. If it's anything that I'm hosting on an Amazon web server, I'm going to use Code Whisperer. For images and video creation, I'm going to use Midjourney and DALL-E. For editing, I'm going to use Descript, or I'm going to use HeyGen, or I'm going to use Synthesia. I'm going to use something like that. I have some big YouTubes. I do a lot of social media and YouTube trainings. We do a lot of voiceover AI. So it's my voice, it's my image sometimes, and I've recorded so much that it can do this for me. It could theoretically have given you guys this entire training or this entire presentation, and you would have never known. And the image and the audio would have been AI, and it would have looked just like me and sounded just like me, and it would shock you. My wife can't pick out the AI videos from my real videos when we're doing them. For job prep, I love the LinkedIn AI coach. If you guys are doing that, I coach a lot of people that are entering the workforce. I was a B-level executive for a Fortune 100. So, interview warm up, I've heard great things about it. I haven't personally used it. If you're part of Microsoft 365 Copilot, it's amazing. If you're using Trello or Asana or Monday, you might want to look at Notion. Notion AI, we're creating some of the most amazing boards and feedbacks and training materials in Notion. And I just love where it's going. I'm not an expert on it yet, but I think it's going to be my go-to for everything right now. And I've probably got 2,000 hours in Monday.com for my team, and we're gonna scrap it. Let's give you a persona prompt example. So you're a marketing specialist, let's say, and you're launching a social media campaign for a coffee shop. And I may say to the AI, I want you to create a concise 3-step marketing strategy outline for Instagram and TikTok, focusing on reaching young professionals, right? I'm going to click the deep research button, but I'm also going to say, I want you to use deep research. And I want you to take insights on current trends and maybe consumer behavior to justify the recommendation. And then I want you to detail those recommendations and how you're justifying it, right? So what's going to happen then is the AI is going to output, a strategic kind of a step-by-step marketing plan. It's going to be supported by research and insights. Like it's going to say, these are the current hashtags you should be using, and this is what's trending, and these are the content formats, and these are the posting schedules. But the great thing about deep research and the great thing about us giving it a really good prompt is it's going to cite every single article and every single website that it's pulling this data from in its output. So all of a sudden, you're going to have super detailed output that you're going to be able to edit and choose and use what you want from that output. And it's going to clearly demonstrate how the persona that you gave it, how it used that persona. Like it's going to follow your constraints for the most part. If you tell it to keep it to 150 words, it's very common for it to give you 200 words. Like there are challenges that you guys are going to run into, but it's going to give you really high-end professional grade results. And I'm telling you this not just from somebody who trains it and teaches it every single day. I have over 1 million followers between my social media accounts. I have 500,000 on Instagram alone, and we use AI for all of our content on a daily basis. So I can assure you that when it comes to coaching or any of the things that I'm doing on a regular basis, public speaking, the AI is for sure my friend. Multi-step tasks. Multi-step tasks are really, really important. We talked a little bit about prompting. We talked a little bit about how you do it, but then we really need to look at it in a multi-step. So instead of throwing those vague requests like, make me this, you need to break the tasks into smaller logical steps that will give you kind of clearer, more actionable outcomes, right? So for an example that everyone can relate to, let's say it's a job search scenario. So I may say to the AI, research and summarize the 5 top entry-level marketing positions currently open in these states. And it's going to go on to LinkedIn. It's going to go on to all the job search sites, and it's going to research and summarize all of the entry-level marketing positions that are out there. And it's going to give them to me. And the deep research, this is not something that happens fast. With deep research on ChatGPT, it's probably 10 minutes, right? So it's going to take it some time to give you what you're asking it for. And then but once it gives it to me, I may say something along the lines of, identify the top 3 skills these jobs consistently are asking for or require. And now it's going to go through it again, and it's going to identify those top 3 skills. And I may say, hey, take a look at my LinkedIn and align my skills with the top skills here and help me rewrite my resume to clearly highlight these specific skills. And now it's going to go and redo my resume for me and highlight skills based on my experience and what's in my LinkedIn, right? Now I may then tell it part of this chain, based on my new resume that you just made. It's beautiful. Thank you very much. If I'm using Gemini, I may just say, will you please put that into a beautiful format on Google Docs for me? And it's going to throw it into Google Docs, right? It's going to look like a resume. I may say, generate 5 likely interview questions with really strong responses that I can read and study for, let's say, my next interview, right? If you're doing these types of things, if you're following these multi-step tasks, your output is going to be significantly beyond the normal output that you're seeing on a daily basis. If you're not, and you're happy with the output you're getting, and it's quick and it's easy, then that's perfect. But when you do this, when you do prompt chaining, it's going to ensure that every step is carefully refined. It's gonna be focused, and it's gonna be a lot more effective, right? You're gonna get, in my mind, I think you're gonna get much clearer results for what you're looking for. Now, I may go to the end of this, the difference between chain of thought, which is kind of linear, and a tree of thought, which is going to show me everything. At the end, I may say something like, show me your reasoning step by step for how you came to this. And it's going to get super detailed. Like, these are the reasoning. It's going to give me a reasoning tree. Some of the AIs that I use will throw it into a mind map for me right away. And I'll have a big mind map that is really, really detailed and reasoned around what I'm trying to achieve or what I'm trying to accomplish, right? The reason that I will ask it to show me the reasoning is because that helps me understand the logic behind the suggestions, right? So it's going to allow me to maybe refine things a little bit better because I'm going to understand why it said what it said and where it pulled its data from. It's very common for me to do something along those lines, and it will give me the links to the articles or the websites or the videos that it pulled it from. It's really common for me to go then read those articles, those websites, or watch those videos, so I can make sure that the data that I'm getting and using is good, it aligns with what I believe. Sometimes it will pull data from a YouTuber that maybe a little bit out there, right? And I want to make sure that the data that I'm using aligns with what I want, right? And with what my beliefs are. Here's a great little case study that I put together for you. I think basically it's like a 4-step prompt chaining workflow. So summarize these 10 articles in 200 words. So I will drop 10 PDFs on it or put 10 links to 10 different articles in 200 words, right? And so it's going to summarize all these articles and capture the raw findings for me. And then I may say, from that summary, give me the top 3 recurring themes, right? Like, so give me some insight to what's being said here. And then I may say something like, let's create like 5 slide headlines with 1-sentence bullet points for each theme. And let's convert it to a presentation. By the way, if I'm using Gemini, it's going to throw it right into Google Slides, right? If I'm not using Gemini, it's going to give me a detailed on the slide that I can drop into Canva or something along those lines, right? And then maybe the last one, and let's anticipate some questions and answers. Generate 5 likely audience questions with some concise answers, so I can prep for my discussion, prep for what I'm going to see, hear, and learn and teach, right? And it's the benefit of this, of using a chain, prompt chaining like this, is it's methodical, and it's actually much faster than you guys starting from scratch and just trying to give it a bunch of stuff and you constantly refining it. So instead of that, if you think along the chain, you're going to be way faster and get a much more detailed and much more accurate response. Think assembly line, not shotgun, right? The chaining keeps the AI focused on what you are asking it for, and it keeps it from going crazy and going out there. And we've all seen AIs go crazy. I don't know if you guys have seen the new thing where they put an AI, they put a picture of you in a little blister pack with all your little things. I mean, I'm seeing some crazy stuff, and it's fun. If you don't chain it right, you will lose control. So, ineffective, chaining for me might be like, create a marketing plan for X. It's going to spit out something super generic, right? Kind of super templated, very low quality content, right? And usually not something that I would use. But if I don't do that, if I maintain, this theory, this design of prompt chaining, I may say, gather key facts about this company, gather facts about its market, gather facts about its audience, read all of its reviews, see what its clients like and dislike, right? Then it's going to give me this large point of data, and I may say something like, make me a list of all the pain points from this data, right? So now I've got my competitor, or maybe 10 of my competitors, I've analyzed all the reviews, I know all the pain points, I know all the things that people like, and I've made a list of these pain points now, and I may say, suggest some tactics to address each pain point, right? And so it's going to do those tactics. And then I may say, okay, let's assemble those tactics into a 90-day plan with metrics, right? So each stage is not only going to be way more detailed for me, it's going to let me spot errors really early, and it's going to let me redirect if I see an error. So what's going to happen when I do this, when I keep control of the chain, I'm going to have a tailored, kind of logical, very clear, very insightful plan to take me along the way to get me where I want it to be. I'll give you guys a great example. I own a construction company here in Park City, where we live, and it's very common for me to use this type of chain. I have a lot of clients that are like, we'd love to give you a review. Can you just write it and send it to us and we'll post the review on your Google? And I'll be like, sure. So when I'm talking to the AI, I was like, make me a list of all the pain points that I know of. Here are all the pain points that I'm aware of. Now write me a great review about how we're the best, construction company in Park City, and how, you had the client had these pain points with our competitors, and how we fixed those pain points. And then they write that beautiful review, and it's a hugely powerful thing for SEO for people like us and companies like that. All right. So back to chain of thought and tree of thought. So these are really two reasoning modes, right? And there are two ways for you to request this from the model. And the chain of thought for me is kind of like me telling somebody to just like think out loud, or give me step by step. That's probably a better way. The chain of thought is going to give you kind of a singular, like kind of a linear path. It's going to give you something like it's this, it's this, and then it's this, right? And I'm actually going to show you on ChatGPT how that works. I'll show you a really simple version for this. It's really helpful for math, right? It's really helpful for logic, or when you really want to check off step by step, or even let's make something simple, checklists. So, think out loud. When I ask it to give me the chain of thought on this, or to give me it's going to give it to me that way, in this linear way. The tree of thought is going to give me several different approaches. It's going to give me branches, right? And it's going to compare all of these different branches, and then it's going to choose what's best, and then give me the reason that it chose that. But then I can challenge it, and I can say, okay, well, I see this over here, this branch over here. Why do we not use that branch? What's going on there? And that's really useful when I'm trying to be really creative. Like if I want to really solve complex problems, I will ask it to give me a tree of thought, like show me how you're thinking and where you came to this. And and I may say, this is crazy, but sometimes I'll say, give me as many possible, branches on this tree as possible. I want to see everything that you calculated to come to this. And sometimes that backfires on me, and I'm like, okay, let's just give me the top 20, right? The benefit of this is like, it will boost my accuracy, but it will significantly lengthen the time that it's going to take me to create whatever I'm trying to create. So you're going to have that little problem. And, but it's pretty easy. If I go here, I think I made a little thing for you guys. Can you see my chat GPT?
Yep.
Okay. So I just said, think out loud, step by step, solve 27 times 14. And what ChatGPT did is it's like split 14 into 10 plus 4. Compute 10 times 27 equals 270. Compute 27 times 4 equals 108. And then add the partial products together to come up with 378. So this is a very common kind of chain of thought. That's why chain of thought works so well for math, right? But then I said, give me 3 ways to market a campus event and compare each versus cost, and then pick the top. So now I'm telling it that I want a tree of thought. I want it to be way more detailed, and I wanted to justify what it's telling me, and I wanted to tell me why it's justifying it, right? So it made these 3 smart and slightly cheeky, because it talks like me. Don't forget, it's automatically going to talk like me. Ways to hype your campus event, right? And it gave me a reach versus cost take. It gave me all of the details, what it would take, what it would cost, and then it told me what the winner was, right? So that's kind of the difference between tree of thought and chain of thought. All right. This is going to be super simple, because I'm not going to go really deep on this. I don't know if any of your guys' speakers prior to this talked about AI agents. We could do an 8-hour training on AI agents, and I wouldn't cover a tenth of what you would likely need long-term. But even though we don't have time today to dive into AI agents, I wanted to bring them up, and because autonomous agents are emerging, and they're emerging faster and faster. And it's very, I have a few AI agents I don't use a lot, but if I'm traveling, an AI agent books all of my travel for me now that I've created. It's very common for me to use AI agents for tasks. When I'm coaching, it will pull all of my summary from my call. It'll make me a detailed summary and it'll put it into my CRM for me. So I'm using AI agents on a very low scale for myself, only because I haven't had the time, energy, or effort to put into what I would need to in order to create probably some more dynamic AI agents. But, it's basically what it is for you guys is it's just a small program that takes like one goal and it breaks it into a bunch of little tasks, and then it executes those tasks. And when you first create it, like when I first created my travel AI agent, it would pull up my Delta account. I'd have to put in my username and password. Then it would pull up my, Google Flights, and it would pull up all these little things. But once they were all in there, it kept it saved it, and now it could go and do it on its own. And then I tell it when to stop and ask me, or when to ask for approval. I have AI agents that, manage our Google business profile and things like that. And they'll write, new images and create little videos, but they just give them to me because they're not good enough they're not perfect yet. So they have to share it with me, and then I have to approve it or I have to change it. But, maybe, how do we build one quickly? Let me give you that. There are a couple really good open sources for AI agents if you guys wanted to play with AI agents. AutoGPT and then Baby AGI from GitHub. Those are probably the two easiest. But they're not easy because you have to add your API key from whatever your large language model is, right? So you have to connect that AI agent to whatever the API, whatever you want to connect it to, whether it's through a direct API with AutoGPT, or with Baby AGI, maybe it's with a Zap or something along those lines. And then you have to have kind of a short config file with your objective. Now, the great news is that the AI, it will help you write that file. So you don't have to write code to do this. I can't write code. And you're going to have to say, like, this is my objectives. These are the allowed tools. This is the web search. These are the docs. This is what I want. And then you run the script and with the agent plan, and it's going to act, and it's going to develop and build what you wanted it to build. And the reason I even included this today for you guys is because, you're going to see this, step up significantly on a monthly, if not weekly basis. For all of you guys there, everybody that's studied, years and years, we historically had a thing called Moore's Law. Do you guys know what Moore's Law is? Anybody in the room?
One where everything gets like every so often double in speed.
Yeah. So every 5 years, our technology was doubling, right? So, and we've followed Moore's Law, give or take, for the last, 200, 300, probably 1,000, 2,000 years. Moore's Law is out the window. So if you were to go really, really deep with Moore's Law, what we're seeing now with AI is we're seeing our technology double every 6 months. And with the invention, with the acceleration of quantum computing, and with the acceleration of some of these other computing, modes, we could start seeing things, double even quicker. I did I don't sleep a lot, but I did a really deep AI dive a few weeks ago on everything that's available for cancer treatment. I have a friend that has cancer, and how long is it going to take for us to like really map the genome of all cancers and be able to offer custom treatments? And according to the AIs, after 3 or 4 hours of deep research, by 2030, the AIs will be writing custom cancer treatments. I went pretty deep on how long it would take for human upload, how long it's going to take for a computer to be able to have, and the AI is theorizing that by 2040 we're going to be able to upload our brains in some way, shape, or form. That's scary stuff, but that's Moore's Law thrown out the window. And the reason I tell you this is not to scare anybody or to make it crazy, is to just like, this is why you want to learn AI agents. You want to be playing with AI agents. AI agents is where ChatGPT was when it first came out. I had lots of people that were refusing to touch AI in any way, shape, or form. Or AI agents are where emails were when emails first came out. Or for me, my BlackBerry, man, I love my BlackBerry. Listen, they're still experimental. The AI agents can loop, and they can stall, and AI agents invent facts all the time, right? So you're gonna have to review it and course correct it. But I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't bring it up and tell you that it's right now it's where ChatGPT was in the first 6 months, and so you should be paying attention because I think it'll be helpful for you in the near future. Here's the kind of the takeaway for me, guys. Here's the most important thing. AI is not going to replace you. I mean, it's really just not. But the person using AI could replace you. That's what I teach. I coach a lot of real estate, a lot of social media influencers, agents, a lot of mortgage, a lot of fintech, a lot of financial technology people. And their big concern is always like, well, this AI is going to replace me, and I don't want to use this tool that's going to replace me because it's the devil. And I'm just like, well, if you don't use it, it's going to have a role in replacing you, right? Most likely, right? But if you use it, it's not. There's the, unless your specific job that you do, is very, very, if you are a hardcore coder, it may replace a portion of your coding, but it's not going to replace, code, repairing code and fixing code. There's a lot of things that it's not probably going to replace. What I would ask you guys from today and from all the other speakers that you saw today is like, pick a tool that you've seen today, whether it's ChatGPT or Midjourney or whatever it is, and learn it. I mentioned the beginning with that acronym. Google has a 9-hour course on prompting. I've of course watched, I think it's $49 on Coursera. If you watch that, if you go through that 9-hour course, you are going to be a complete expert on AI prompting. It will raise your game tremendously. So it is probably the best $50. I would tell everybody I coach, they have to watch this. They have to do this course and give me feedback. It's that important for me. AI is not perfect. You guys got to remember, you're still the pilot. I've been a pilot for a long, long time, and my wife will not let me put the autopilot on and read a book while I'm flying. Even though the autopilot's good, I'm still required to be the pilot. So, just kind of, you got to have to trust me that although it's not the pilot, it's going to give you afterburners if you use it right. It's going to put you in the best plane and get you there the fastest if you make it right. So I think that was it. That's it for me. That's all I got. I think I hit my time frame. If you guys have any questions, happy to answer them.
Aaron, I do have a question for you, and it's more related to your last slide, the one before that one. So when you talk about automatic systems, and I'm here as an entrepreneur, small business, what tools will you recommend? For example, if I want to create a chat box, but for my business, that one, yeah. So what tools will you recommend us to use in order to have easy prompts that can humanize my chats and my text messages in a faster way? Say I have, I don't know, 200 messages coming a day. How can you recommend any recommendations that you can make?
Yeah. So I don't think, I'll tell you what I use, which is not going to be as helpful as you might think it is. I use an AI chatbot on my text called Chat AI, right? So text is a little bit different because if you're on iPhone or if you're on a Google phone, how it integrates, how you can get it to integrate. There are some other options for text, but that's the one I use. It doesn't do any auto text back at all, but it gives me a suggestion and I can say yeah, or it'll give me 2 suggestions and I say yeah. So it gives me quite a few suggestions that I can use, and it's really, really simple to use. Now, there are some great, like WeChat is a fantastic chatbot. That's what you see the Ed Milet's and Bradley's and Tony Robbins of the world using on their websites, on their Facebook, on their Instagrams. It's all WeChat, and they pre-program it. It's a little bit more detailed, but you could take what WeChat has done and use Auto GPT or Baby AGI and create your own chatbot that does exactly what WeChat does. The challenge you have is that now you're going to have to put in the scripting. You're going to have to put in all the questions and answers and your questions and answers. So you're going to have to train it to talk and speak like you, which will take you some time, right? Like for me, I have a coaching chatbot and I have a summary of all my coaching calls, and I have like 15,000 hours of coaching calls, and I uploaded them all to my AI. And my clients, when they can't get through to me, I'm like, just hit my chatbot really quick, because it's going to tell you what I would tell you. It literally has 15,000 hours of me coaching on it. So it's going to be really, really clean. For email, there's an amazing program called Fixer AI, Fyxer AI. I love this. I get 300 emails a day. It's pretty massive. I own a couple companies. I'm a coach. I'm a speaker. You know, it basically will take all of my emails and put a response, 1, 2, or 3 different responses, and throw them all into the drafts. When I sit down at my desk, I go right to the drafts, and I'm like, and I just click on the ones that I want. It sends and it responds to all those emails automatically for me. It's hands down my favorite automation AI for email. I use WeChat on my social, so there's probably a lot more for you that I would maybe do deep research on, like Gemini. I think that'd probably be the best, and be really, really detailed with my prompt. And Gemini is going to tell you the very best, AIs to do that with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. Any other questions?
I've got a question. So you've coached a lot of professionals and a lot of businesses. What do you feel like the mindset shift that has to take place to get people to adopt AI? Whether it's juniors or even the more senior people. I feel like the older generation, even though I'm one of them, are likely to adopt things or less open to adopting things. So what is your take on that?
That's a fantastic question, you guys. I'm gonna age myself. Like I said, I think the iPhone 5 was my first iPhone because I would not give up my BlackBerry. Because I could type so fast with that BlackBerry, guys. I was just a machine. In 2017, I went from being a coach on the phone to a coach on all video only, and I was kicking and screaming, you guys. I'll be honest with you. I was like, I do not want to do this. Like we get comfortable in our skin. We get comfortable in our way of doing things, especially when we built up neural pathways. And this is just how we do go about it every single day. So what I do with my team is it just depends on if it's an employee versus, somebody. So the people that I coach pay me to be their coach. They're technically my clients, right? But they pay me to kind of be that jerk, snarky person that I described to you at the start. So what I do with my team is like, I hold them up to a very high level of accountability to learning these things. And I make it, we have some penalties and we have some wins. And like, if everybody does this, I'm taking the whole, I have about 70 total clients. I'm like, I'm taking you all we do a big event in August. I'll take you all to dinner if everybody does this, but if one of you doesn't, then nobody goes. And they're pushing each other and they're doing little things like that. For employees, it would just be a standard. I love my employees. I think the world of them. They know I love them. They know I would do anything for them, but they also know that I have very strict, asks of them. And those are like, this is what you do every day. This is how you report it back to me. This is how we're going to implement it into our business. So it's very common for my team to be learning new things that I've learned. I'll watch something. I'll say, I want you to learn this. I want you to tell me how you're going to implement this into our business. And I want you to send me an email telling me everything you learned and how we're going to do this. Now, in the old days, we did this with books. I owned a mortgage company. I had about 3,000 employees, you guys. Every single employee had to read Raving Fans, period. So they had to read this book and then give me an email. All I'm doing now is the same thing, but with video and with technology and trainings. I'm like, now you have to watch this training, and this training. And then I need you to use this every single day and report back to me how you're using it. Here's what happens. As soon as they start using it, somebody flips that light switch in their brain and they're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. Like, oh, this is out of this world. I mean, I've been using AI for my emails since the day ChatGPT went live. And I had clients for 6 months, like, your emails are so amazing these days. I'm like, they're not my emails, right? They're ChatGPT's emails. So, everybody's going to have some resistance to change. If they're really resistant, I would tell you this: have them read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? That's probably the best tiny little book on change that I've ever read, Who Moved My Cheese? And when they're done, just ask them, say, which one are you, which character are you right now when we talk about this, right? I could go sales on you. Do I have a couple minutes, team?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to give you one more book. It's called Phil Jones, Exactly What to Say. Probably the best way to get people that aren't your direct employees to buy in and do these types of things is to never to argue with them. We don't want to say, hey, you're not being intelligent, you're not being smart, you need to learn this. We want to change their perspective. So I may say to them, what do you understand about AI and how it could help you? And then I'll say, okay, where did you get that information from? Where'd you learn that information? And how correct do you think that information is? And I'm going to walk them down this path of me getting them to change their perspective. And I'm say, how important would it be if I could show you how to do this, this, and this, and have that take, hours off your day every day? How important would that be to you? And then they'll tell me, and how would you feel if you were able to spend more time with your family because we learned to do these things this way instead of the way that we've been doing it? And it turned out to be a better way. They're pretty important. And then I may say something like, have you ever in your life made a decision and based on that decision, it didn't really work out the way that you thought it was going to work out and you regret it? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, this is one of those decisions if we don't embrace this. And I just take them down that path. And almost always that changes their perspective. Is that helpful?
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any more questions?
Go ahead, team. Anything.
I have one more. So you said that you use AI for your emails, to do your socials, to even book your travel. What do you not use AI for? And why?
No, that's a great question, actually. I read a ton, right? I have a Kindle. I think I had 400 hours of Audible last year. We have a home in Cabo San Lucas also, and we take our dogs and drive and camp. But I even use AI for that because as soon as I'm done with the book, I take all of my notes and my summary and do an AI summary from it. So I use AI for a lot. I'm a big photographer. There's a bunch of photography gear back here. I don't use AI for any of my photography or any of my editing yet. It's out there, but I'm still an old school guy. I still use Photoshop and stuff like that. But my team does. The people that work for me that are doing things on my social, they use AI all the time. I even use AI to hack my health. I use AI, I wish I could tell you what I don't use it for. I mean, I still drive a car, right? So I'm not using it for that yet. But it's just making my life easier. Remember that AI is not here to steal my job. It's not here to take over the world yet, right? We don't know, right?
Yeah.
I think the AI is here kind of to help me build and create, right? I think it helps me do some amazing things that I never thought possible. Like I finished a book on you. I do a lot of YouTube training, and I finished a book. And when I finished writing the book, I threw it in the AI, and it made that book so much better. You guys, it was like night and day. And I'm like, wow, this is taking it to a new level. It's still me, and it still has typos, and it still has me and the editors fixing that kind of stuff. But it definitely helps me dial things in. It basically, it's equipped me to be a better boss, to be a better leader, right? It's equipped me to kind of outsmart the robots. I put something on this little board for you. This is a train station flipboard. It says, sorry, robots, today the humans are getting the upgrade, right? Like that's what the AI is. The AI gives me an upgrade, I think, right? And so if you guys take that and you go out and you have fun and you show the world and you intelligently use it, I think it gives you an upgrade too. Any other questions? What questions do you have for me? All right, team. I think that's it for me then.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thank you guys. It was really a pleasure, truly.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Have a great day, everybody.